Deep within the emerald heart of Mesoamerica, a great mystery lies sleeping. It is shrouded in the dense rainforests of what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize and Honduras. Here, stone cities of breathtaking scale and sophistication rise from the jungle floor. They are the silent witnesses to one of history's most brilliant and enigmatic civilizations, the Maya. For centuries, these ruins have captivated explorers, scholars and dreamers alike. They whisper tales of powerful kings and queens, of intricate rituals, and of a society that reached for the stars. The very air here seems thick with unanswered questions. Who were these people and how did they build such wonders without the wheel or metal tools? The story of the Maya is not one of a single, unified empire. It is a sprawling tapestry woven from the histories of dozens of independent city-states. These kingdoms were often rivals, locked in a complex dance of alliance, trade and warfare. Great cities like Tikal and Chichen vied for dominance, their monumental pyramids casting long shadows over the political landscape. Yet despite their divisions, they shared a profound cultural identity. They were bound together by a common understanding of the cosmos, a sophisticated writing system, and a shared artistic vision. Our story begins not with grand pyramids, but with the quiet rustle of hunter-gatherers moving through a landscape still recovering from the last ice age. This was the Archaic period, a vast expanse of time stretching from around 8,000 to 2000 BC. These early inhabitants left few monumental traces, but their presence is marked by the subtle evidence they left behind. Sharpened stone points for their spears, tools for processing plants, and the faint outlines of their temporary camps. It was during this long period that the first steps towards agriculture were taken. The wild teosinte grass was slowly coaxed into becoming maize. The successful domestication of maize or corn was the single most important development in the rise of Maya civilization. This was no ordinary crop, it was a biological marvel, a plant engineered by human hands to be incredibly productive. The Maya creation stories themselves reflect this deep connection, telling how the gods fashioned the first humans from maize dough. For the Maya, maize was not just food, it was the very substance of life. Around 2000 BC, at the dawn of what we call the pre-classic period, people began to settle down in one place. The first permanent Maya villages started to appear, often situated in fertile river valleys. As villages grew in size and number throughout the middle pre-classic period, Maya society began to grow more complex. We see the first signs of this in the burials of the period, where some individuals were interred with more elaborate grave goods. The physical layout of Maya settlements began to reflect these social changes. Villages were no longer just a random collection of houses. They began to be organized around a central public space, or plaza, with raised platforms of earth and plaster. These were the precursors to the Great Pyramids. Initially, they served as stages for public rituals and as the foundations for the houses of the ruling elite, physically elevating them above the rest of the population. This period also saw the development of long-distance trade networks. Lowland communities traded salt, cotton and cacao for valuable resources from the highlands, such as obsidian and jade. This interaction between different regions spurred innovation and spread new ideas, technologies and artistic styles. It connected the emerging Maya chiefdoms into a wider Mesoamerican world. The late pre-classic period, from about 400 BC to 250 AD, was a time of explosive growth and transformation. At El Mirador, the Maya built some of the largest pyramids ever constructed in the world. These structures were often decorated with huge stucco masks depicting the faces of major deities, reinforcing the sacred nature of the buildings and the divine authority of the kings who commissioned them. Most importantly, through the development of writing. The first clear examples of Maya hieroglyphic script appear during this period, carved onto stone stelae and painted onto murals. Yet this vibrant era also ended in mystery. Many of these great pre-classic cities, including the behemoth El Mirador, were abandoned around 150 AD. The reasons are still debated. But this first collapse cleared the way for new centers of power like Tikal and Chichen, to rise and dominate the Maya world in the glorious classic period that was to follow. The period from roughly 250 to 900 AD is known as the Classic period. It was the true golden age of the southern Maya lowlands. This was an era defined by the power and prestige of the Kuhul Ajor, the Holy Lord or Divine King. These rulers were not mere mortals. They were seen as sacred beings, intermediaries who stood between the human world and the realm of the gods. It was their solemn duty to perform the complex rituals that nourished the deities. They constructed vast palace complexes, sprawling labyrinths of courtyards, galleries and residential quarters where the royal court lived and the business of the state was conducted. The political landscape of the Classic period was dominated by the epic centuries-long rivalry between two colossal superpowers, Tikal and Calakmul. They were locked in a geopolitical struggle for dominance. In 562 AD, this strategy culminated in a major victory. Calakmul and its allies defeated Tikal in a great war, capturing and likely sacrificing its king. But in 695 AD, under a new and dynamic ruler named Jasad Chan Kawil I, Tikal struck back, celebrating its victory by building some of its most famous structures. The intense competition between Classic period kingdoms fueled an incredible cultural blossoming. Maya artists worked in a stunning variety of media, creating some of the most refined and beautiful works of the ancient world. Classic Maya ceramics are a case in point. Potters produced vessels of incredible beauty, painted with complex narrative scenes that offer a rare glimpse into the lives of the Maya elite. At sites like Copan and Quirigua, this carving became so deep and detailed that it verged on being fully three-dimensional sculpture, capturing the subtle details of royal costume and individual personalities with breathtaking naturalism. This artistic flourishing was underpinned by the full development of the Maya writing system. The Maya developed the most advanced writing system in the pre-Columbian Americas, a beautiful and complex script combining phonetic symbols and logograms. They produced thousands of texts, not only on stone and ceramics, but also in books made of folded bark paper known as codices. Tragically, only 4 of these codices are known to have survived the Spanish conquest. The scribes were often themselves princes or high nobles, and some even signed their work, giving us the names of individual artists from over 1,000 years ago. Of all their intellectual achievements, the Maya are perhaps most famous for their mathematics and astronomy. They developed a sophisticated base 20 numerical system and, most remarkably, the concept of zero. The development of the concept of zero was a monumental leap in human thought. While other cultures had placeholder concepts, the Maya treated zero as a true number, a key innovation that is the bedrock of all advanced mathematics. This mathematical prowess was the engine behind their greatest scientific passion, the study of the stars. The Maya were obsessive astronomers, charting the cosmos with breathtaking precision. From specially designed observatories, their priests and astronomers charted the movements of the sun, the moon, the planets and the stars with painstaking accuracy. They recorded the cycles of Venus, predicting its appearance as the morning and evening star. This obsession with timekeeping gave rise to one of the most sophisticated calendrical systems ever devised by any culture. For the Maya, time was not a simple linear progression, but a series of endlessly repeating cycles. Specific architectural arrangements, like the E-groups found in many cities, functioned as massive astronomical observatories, allowing Maya priests to mark the solstices and equinoxes with precision. The Maya lived in a world saturated with spiritual meaning. They envisioned a universe with a layered structure, 13 levels of heaven above, 9 levels of the underworld below, with a great world tree connecting all 3 realms. The Maya pantheon was populated by a vast array of gods and goddesses. Among the most important were Itzamna, the aged creator god, Kinich Ahau, the sun god, Chaak, the hook-nosed god of rain and lightning, and the maize god. The hero twins Hunapu and Ixbalanque were central figures in Maya mythology, whose epic adventures, including their defeat of the lords of the underworld, were recounted in the sacred Popol Vuh. Ritual was the primary mechanism through which the Maya interacted with the sacred realm. One of the most important royal duties was the act of bloodletting. The king would pierce parts of his own body with sharp objects like stingray spines. Human sacrifice was also a central element of Maya religious practice. The victims were most often high-ranking captives taken in war, and the ultimate offering was life itself, the most potent substance that could be given to nourish the gods. One of the most distinctive features of Maya ritual life was the sacred ball game, known as pits. The game was far more than a sport. It was a ritual reenactment of cosmic battles, particularly the struggle between the hero twins and the lords of the underworld. One of the greatest mysteries in all of history surrounds the end of the classic period. Around 900 AD, the vibrant civilization of the southern Maya lowlands underwent a profound and terminal decline. Monument constructions ceased abruptly. The meticulous carving of royal histories onto stelae came to a halt. The complex machinery of divine kingship simply broke down. The great cities that had dominated the landscape for centuries began to falter. People began to drift away from the cities, leaving their magnificent stone temples and pyramids to be slowly reclaimed by the encroaching jungle. The collapse was likely the result of a perfect storm of interconnected problems. One major factor was severe environmental degradation. Centuries of intensive farming had exhausted the soil and led to widespread deforestation. Scientific analysis of lakebed sediments confirms that the region suffered from a series of devastating dry spells. Without reliable rains, the maize harvests would have failed, leading to widespread famine. The endemic warfare that marked the late classic period only made matters worse, disrupting trade routes, destroying crops, and placing an unbearable strain on the common people. While the southern cities were collapsing, Maya civilization was not dying. It was shifting. The focus of cultural and political activity migrated north to the Yucatan Peninsula, where new cities rose to prominence during the post-classic period. The first great power of the post-classic Yucatan was the magnificent city of Chichen Itza, displaying a fascinating blend of traditional Maya styles and new elements from the Toltec culture of central Mexico. After the decline of Chichen Itza, power shifted to the city of Mayapan. Unlike the more open ceremonial centers of the classic period, Mayapan was a densely populated walled city, a clear sign of the more defensive nature of the post-classic world. While the northern lowlands experienced this renaissance, vibrant Maya kingdoms also continued to thrive in the rugged Guatemalan highlands. Peoples like the Quiche and the Caciquel established powerful states. It was from these highland Maya that one of the most important surviving works of Mesoamerican literature, the sacred book known as the Popol Vuh, was recorded, preserving their creation myths and epic histories. The first recorded contact between Europeans and the Maya occurred in 1511, when a Spanish ship was wrecked on a reef in the Caribbean. This inauspicious encounter was a prelude to a much larger and more violent clash of worlds. The Spanish conquest of the Maya lands was not a single, swift campaign. It was a long, brutal and piecemeal affair that lasted for an astonishing 170 years. Despite immense disadvantages, the Maya fought back with incredible courage and tenacity. The conquest was a bloody and protracted struggle that dragged on for decades. During the Spanish conquest, zealous Catholic missionaries, believing these books to be instruments of the devil, systematically collected and burned them. Only 4 of these precious codices are known to have survived this cultural devastation. The last independent Maya kingdom, Noypeton, located on an island in Lake Payton-Itza, did not fall to the Spanish until 1697, marking the end of the last independent native state in the Americas. For centuries, the popular narrative of the Maya was a story of mystery and disappearance. But this dramatic story is fundamentally untrue. The Maya civilization did not vanish. The people themselves endured. They did this through a remarkable process of syncretism, blending their own ancient beliefs with the Catholicism forced upon them. They would worship at the village church, but they would see their own gods in the faces of the saints. The 260-day sacred calendar, the Tzolkin, continued to be kept in secret, governing the rhythms of ritual life. The Mayan languages, the direct descendants of the tongue spoken by the ancient kings, survived. Today, more than 6 million people who identify as Maya live in their ancestral homelands and beyond. They continue to speak dozens of distinct Mayan languages, a direct linguistic link to the scribes of the ancient courts. In recent decades, there has been a powerful resurgence of Maya cultural pride and political activism. The hieroglyphs, once the exclusive domain of foreign academics, are now being taught in local schools. The colourful, intricately woven textiles worn by Maya women are not just beautiful garments, they are a visual language, with patterns and symbols that can identify a weaver's home village and tell ancient stories. It was not until the 19th century that the world truly began to rediscover the splendours of the ancient Maya. This rediscovery was spearheaded by two remarkable individuals, the American writer John Lloyd Stephens and the British artist Frederick Catherwood. Catherwood was a master draftsman who drew the ruins with incredible accuracy and artistic flair. His lithographs were not romanticized fantasies. They were precise records of the intricate carvings and complex architecture. The work of these early explorers paved the way for more systematic scientific archaeology. Major archaeological projects began excavating and restoring the major sites, slowly piecing together the material story of the Maya. For more than a century after their rediscovery, the secrets of Maya writing remained locked away. The prevailing view was that the writing was purely ideographic and mystical, recording only abstract concepts about the gods and the cosmos. The key to unlocking the code came from a Russian linguist named Yuri Norozov. He proposed that Maya writing was not purely symbolic, but was a mixed logosyllabic system, combining word signs with phonetic symbols. This discovery unlocked the voices of the ancient Maya, allowing us to read their histories in their own words for the first time. Names of kings and queens emerged from the silence of the stones. The study of the Maya continues to evolve with new technologies. LiDAR has allowed archaeologists to digitally remove the jungle canopy, revealing thousands of previously unknown houses, defensive walls and causeways. At the same time, genetic studies confirm the strong and unbroken genetic link between the ancient populations and the Maya people of today, proving with scientific certainty what the Maya themselves have always known. New discoveries are being made every year, constantly reshaping our understanding. Each new temple uncovered and each new inscription deciphered adds another piece to the grand puzzle. Most importantly, the legacy of the Maya is being carried forward by their descendants. They're not merely living relics of a bygone era. They're a dynamic and resilient people, adapting their ancestral traditions to meet the challenges of the 21st century. Their continued existence is the ultimate refutation of the myth of the vanished Maya. It is the most powerful testament to the endurance of their culture. The story of the Maya is one of the most compelling narratives in human history. Their mathematical innovations, including the independent invention of the number zero, placed them at the forefront of ancient science. Their intricate calendrical systems were marvels of cosmic clockwork, more accurate than those of their contemporaries across the ocean. Their writing system was a triumph of human communication. They created art of breathtaking beauty and emotional power. These are not the achievements of a vanished people, they are permanent contributions to the story of human ingenuity. To walk through the silent plazas of Tikal or Palenque is to feel the immense weight of time. One can almost hear the echoes of the past, the chanting of priests, the roar of the crowd at a ritual ball game. The Maya present us with fascinating paradoxes. They were peerless astronomers, yet their science was deeply entwined with a worldview steeped in prophecy and blood sacrifice. They saw no contradiction between precise calculation and deep religious mysticism. They were masters of the rainforest, a people who learned to sustain vast urban populations in one of the world's most difficult ecosystems, yet they may have pushed their environment to its breaking point. The story of the Maya is not over. It is a continuous narrative, a powerful testament to the persistence of culture and the enduring legacy of one of history's greatest civilizations. Our journey has shown us that the Maya were not a monolith, but a diverse and dynamic collection of peoples who created one of the world's most brilliant civilizations. Their story defies simple explanations and continues to challenge, inspire, and captivate us. The voices from the stones have been reawakened, and the people who did not vanish continue to speak. And it is our privilege now more than ever to listen,